Let us recall that a research report has 5 chapters: introduction, literature review, method, results, discussion, possibly a 6th chapter, conclusion. We have already talked about introduction in some detail. We have talked about literature review. Now, in the coming lessons, actually, we are going to focus on method, because these series of lectures are about qualitative research methods. Now, in your method chapter, the first section that you would write about, or in fact you are thinking about when you are going to carry out a research, is what type of research design are you going to use. Now, we have to be familiar with some terms that are attached to research design. So let us take them one by one, and then as you make choices about your research design, you will put down what are you going to do in the research proposal. And in the case of a research report, you will report what you have actually done. To begin with, now say very plainly, what is your research paradigm? Meaning, are you going to do a qualitative research or a quantitative research? And here we are talking about qualitative research. So your research paradigm is qualitative research design. What we actually do in research design is to justify why this research design or research paradigm is most suited for this topic. So it is not by chance that you are choosing qualitative method. It is not by chance you are choosing quantitative method. You are saying here is a problem that cannot be numerically explored. We cannot use a positivist epistemological framework, and therefore you're going for a qualitative research because your concern is to explore the experience of individuals. So, and there are certain other elements that you might want to mention in the research design. Is your research design cross-sectional or longitudinal? Cross-sectional designs are research whereby you are gathering data at a given time with a given population or a sample. Whereas longitudinal studies are research designs where you carry out data collection with the same cohort of participants over a period of time. The second element that you would like to integrate into your research design section is to say if your study is exploratory or descriptive or explanatory or an experimental design. Often, experimental designs means you're going for quantitative. So if your research is qualitative, then basically it is going to be exploratory and descriptive. Exploratory means you're just going to examine what is happening there. You're not intending to explain cause and effect relationship. You're not even talking about correlation, but you're just saying what are people's experience and perceptions, and then they become exploratory studies. Then you might want to say whether your research is a survey or a case study design. Survey means you're going to really take a large number of people and you want to generalize based on this large sample a certain finding. Whereas case studies are you're focusing on a particular individual participants. Now, case study is a relative term. It all depends which is your population. Let us take an example of, let us say, the universities in Kenya are your population. You want to study how university students use digital sources for their research, let us say. Now, let us say among the over 22 public universities, you choose one university, Kenyatta University, then Kenyatta University becomes a case. Whereas within Kenyatta University, you're going to have other layers of participants, other layers of population and sample. But within the population of universities in Kenya, if you choose one university, then it becomes a case study in relation to universities. Whereas within Kenyatta, you might have faculties, you might have departments. Within departments, you will have lecturers, you will have students, which all become particular population. So Case study is a term that has to be used very carefully. Not everything would become a case study. And remember, case, the word case is a relative term. It all depends on your population. And finally, let us say a few words about action research. Action research is a qualitative method of research, particularly recommended in social transformative research. I said in the beginning that research, as far as possible, is objective. That the researcher tries to be outside what he or she is examining. But in action research, what happens is the researcher becomes a protagonist. The researcher wants to make a change. So action research basically has 4 steps. One is you move with the community. You carry out a needs assessment, in a sense, a situational analysis with the community as a researcher. And out of that needs assessment, out of that situational analysis, you come up with a proposal. With the community, with the participants. Participants become not simply informants in an action research. Participants are actually co-researchers together with you as a researcher. So the second step is to come up with a proposal, an intervention. And the third step is now, together with the community, you implement that intervention. And the fourth step is you evaluate the results of that intervention. And then it goes back to say, now how can we improve this intervention? And so action research is a continuous process, a cyclic process. And you will end when you think this intervention is yielding some valuable results. And then you report what actually happened so that a similar thing could be replicated in another situation. So action research actually comes up with a report about a best practice in such a way that that social transformative work you carried out becomes cyclic, becomes transferable. And a lot of action research is carried out in social context, in educational context. A teacher could try out a new method of teaching. And as, let us say, she carries out this method of teaching, she also examines its effect and she improves that intervention. And then finally she will create a report so that another teacher could try out this intervention. And that, in simple words, is action research.